Morning, dear friends all over the world. My name is Agos. This very morning, I'm just here to have a conversation really with you, Lord. I really don't know how many of you who listen to me this very evening, but I do want to have a conversation with you, especially you, the people of Biafra all over the world, who has been facing this great ordeal in the name of what you want to call it, oppression, the very occupation by the states that call themselves Nigeria, and the very occupation that you understand to be serious danger to humanity as endangered people all over the world. Really, I must say. One of the things I really want to react to this very morning is the condition at which Biafrans are being charged to court by the very occupation and not offering solutions to the people, but continue to create a hostile situation for our people. A prime example, our study case today would be that of the case of Nnamdi Kanu, to be precise. Nnamdi Kanu, pardon me, Nnamdi Kanu precisely case is one of interesting one that everyone around the world is paying a global attention to. And why particularly is people paying attention to this great information case? It is very simple. It's because it's a case of justice and it is a case of human rights, a case of people who have been subjected to ill treatment by the occupation, where a soldier point blankly aims his weapon on a 21-year-old girl and shoots at her in the broad daylight, and no one does anything about it. And this gentleman opens up his mouth and speaks against it, and he's been picked up. And in the name of he's inciting the people against the president to change his will according to the the case that was treason and felony that was filed against him. And you look at on this situation and you understand that the very Nigerian army that is in question here had shot thousands and thousands of Biafran people, and no one had essentially spoken anything or said anything about it. And we will revisit how this case started, what it's been up to in the recent time, in a very short time, really. But most foremost, I want to talk about the case and the Judge Toshio, who happens to take on a case rejected by various older people, older judges, and boycotting the case because of the violation of the human right and the non-respect of court judgment. But this judge takes on this case in this instance and continues, to keep on it from his point of view. And then the judge delivered a judgment the other day denying the applicants, which is Nnamdi and others, freedom or right to be bailed. And in his rejection remark, 3 points he struck out that we should discuss this morning. Number one point that he talked about was that if the accused person is granted bail, the chances of this said the accused would commit the same offense again. Now, look at the situation where he says, accused in the name of Nnamdi Kanu, if granted bail, would commit the same offense again. At first, he has not been tried, so essentially, no offense has been committed. This leaves us with a question: does the judge have a precondition judgment, or is justice being done? Now, this is a question that we as a people we really, really, really honestly needs to answer this question. Or is this judge shooting these, citizens of the world, these Biafran people, in the face before any other judgment is passed, or before a judgment is passed? And his second remark was that if the accused person is granted bail because he's a dual citizen of British nationality, and the very expression in the quotes as they term them Nigerian, even though he's not, he's a Biafran. I leaves us with a question. It say, if granted bail, he will jump bail. I mean, as an English speaker, we very often wonder, what do you mean that when granted bail, then you can jump bail? Because that is not essential. That's not something very possible. When granted bail, you cannot jump bail. You've already been granted bail. And matter of fact, the Federal High Court at the time had dismissed the case, unconditional release of this accused individual. And the occupational forces and the tyrant government, the dictatorship in power, had refused the individuals granted unconditional release and bail, refused judgment, and not by appealing it, but by continuous detention of these vulnerable individuals of Biafran origin, keeping them in cell untried for 105 days or more so. The very first time this is happening in history and has never happened. This has been the situation that has been going on this particular case. And thirdly, the judge raising the issue of the accused, that if granted bail, okay, I spoke about that. He says it's of national security interest. Or when he says of national security interest, he's a heavyweight situation, heavyweight point. Now, both the situation being of a heavyweight one in that sense, chances are when he's been accused of treasonable and felony offences, which apparently had not been committed. And the president in question had said during a live media chat in his reaction when asked about the case, the one called Kanu come to this country with sophisticated equipment to broadcast. And not just is he speaking of sophisticated equipment to broadcast. So you mean that the freedom of expression and speech can no longer be guaranteed globally? 2, right to opinion and expression of one's will has now been, abrogated or limited to the level. And then, thirdly, he said, because this individual in question has a dual nationality, they will never be released. So it is apparently a crime to have a dual nationality, according to these gentlemen. So these are one of the few points that I think had made headlines on this. And then on the other side of it, it leaves you with a great deal of danger for one to question the human brain that processes this very situation. How in the very first place did human being come up with this and say, for example, we would detain whoever is against our wish? This is what his thing is. The man thinks he can detain whoever that is against his ideology. And this he said publicly and open. Then the other way around, I also figured out that another lecturer had been arrested on the fact, another lecturer had been arrested because he's criticized the government's handling of things. He criticized the government handling of situation. Now, this is a question that we all, as individuals, need to really look into. There is something I particularly would love to discuss on this. That I would love to discuss this very morning is of a piece, and even though it was sent to me last night by very honorable Professor Habat Ekwekwe. He says, license to murder. What is the difference between the Nigerian military and Al-Shabaab, Al-Mobitu, Al-Asa-Adin, Al-Qaeda's in the Arabian Peninsula, and Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb, Boko Haram and Islamic State Taliban? What is the difference? And it goes ahead or it goes further to state a few times of an attack globally, selected terrorist outrage across the world between the November 2015 to January 2016. November the 10th, 2015, Nigerian Occupational Military Brigade, comprising army, police, secret police, and other undisclosed unit, positioned at Iguacha, South Biafra, attacked a peaceful Biafran freedom marchers campaigning for the restoration of Biafra sovereignty and release of Nnamdi Kanu, a Radio Biafra freedom broadcaster and leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, illegally detained by the Nigerian regime since the 14th of October 2015, murdering 3 people and wounding several others. International media response, stunning silence from the world, including specifically leading power United States of America and Great Britain, and who played a crucial role in installing the genocidist commander Muhammadu Buhari, who oversees this Igbo massacre as current Nigerian head of regime in March 2015. Sends mentions of massacre by leading global news outlets. You clearly remember on the 12th of November, the Islamic State suicide bomber murdered 43 people and 240 others injured in an attack in Beirut, Lebanon. International media response, worldwide condemnation by leading power, including the United States of America, the Great Britain, and as well as the United Nations, widely publicized by leading global media outlets, condemning this very devilish, including the people of Biafra, condemning every one of this. On 13th of November, the Islamic State, the same terrorist group, fighters attacked Central Paris, France, murdering 38 people, wounding 368 others. International response and worldwide condemnation by leading power, melding the United States and the Britain as well as the United Nations, widely publicized by the leading global news outlets in the world. A lot of condemnation. Same goes with the 20th November, Mobitu and Al-Qaeda and Islamic State Maghreb fighters attacked hotel in Bamako. Bamako, obviously, those of you who were not aware, Bamako is in Africa, Mali. Murdering 27 people, wounding 2. International response, worldwide condemnation by leading powers, including the United States, Britain, as well as the United Nations, widely publicized by leading global news outlet. 24th November, Islamic State suicide bomber attacks base in Tunis, murdering 12 people, wounding 17 others, including Britain citizens and all of that. There's a global media condemnation of this, which is international media response, worldwide condemnation by leading powers, including the United States, Great Britain, as well as the United Nations, widely published by leading global media. And the 2nd of December, Saeed Rizwan and Farouk Tafseen Malik Husband and wife terrorists who duo attacked a holiday facility at San Bernardino, California, United States, murdering 14 people, wounding 23 others. International response worldwide, condemnation by the leading powers, including the United States and Great Britain, as well as the United Nations, widely publicized, leading global media all over the world. Wide condemnation. Nigeria occupation of military. Nigeria occupation of military comprises of the Navy, Army, Police, Secret Police, and others undisclosed unit positioned at Headbridge, Onitsha, in southwest central Biafra, attacked a peaceful Biafran freedom marchers campaigning for the restoration of Biafran sovereignty and the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, Radio Biafra freedom broadcaster, and the leading indigenous people of Biafra, illegally detained by the Nigerian regime since October the 14th, 2015, murdering 11 people, wounding scores, and other international orders. International media response, stunning silence from the world, including especially and leading powers like the United States, Britain, who played a crucial role in installing the genocidist commander Muhammadu Buhari, who oversees this Igbo massacre as Nigerian current head of regime in March 2015. Scenes and mentions the massacre by leading global news outlet. It leaves us with a very great deal of questions. This list goes on. It's unbelievable. It is massively unbelievable what is a great violation of human rights. On the 12th of December, the Nigerian military brigade comprises of Army, Police, Secret Police, and other undisclosed unit positioned at Zaria, northeast Nigeria, attacked an Shiite Muslim led by Ibrahim Zakizeh, murdering 300 people, wounding scores of others, including Zakizeh, who the regime detained subsequently. International response. Condemnation by a number of countries, including the United States, which states categorically. And after this attack, the United States calls on the government of Nigeria to quickly, credibly, transparently investigate this event in Zaria, hold to account any individual found to have committed this crime. Shia Iran condemned the attack. In its parliament, Iran called on Nigeria to launch an investigative and into this doubt, a massacre widely publicized by the leading global news outlets. Come December the 17th, same Nigerian occupational forces who has continued to occupy Biafra, comprising Navy, Army, Police, Secret Police forces, and other undisclosed unit positioned at Headbridge on the southwest central Biafra, attacked the peaceful Biafra freedom marching campaigning for the restoration of Biafra and demanding referendum celebrating an Abuja High Court. Remember earlier on what I was talking, I spoke about who had a ruling releasing Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, Radio Biafra freedom broadcaster and leader of indigenous people of Biafra, illegally detained by the regime, the Nigerian regime, or the regime in Nigeria since October 2015, murdering 8 people, wounding scores of others. International media respond, stunning, silent. Violation of human rights. He said, from what we've understood, from all we've been talking about all of this time, is that a particular section of the people, especially from Great Britain, from the world media, including the United States, Great Britain, and the rest of the world, he was absolutely silent. Absolutely. They installed Muhammadu Buhari, a genocidist who took part in the Igbo massacre. He led a group of team in the Igbo massacre, the Nigerian head of regime, from March 2015. Senate mentions of the massacre by leading global media outlets. Absolute selling. silent totally from beginning. So it is absolutely sure that a certain group of people is murdered for fun, and others are condemned when it's been carried out. So he leaves you with a deal of a question. Is a certain people meant to be murdered and the other are meant to be protected? As a global human, as a group of peace activists, as the world at large, humanitarians, as a lead expert in this ordeal, one will leave us with a very strong deal of a question. How in the very first place is this possible? Why are people being murdered? Why are Igbo people being killed from 67 to this date and no one speaks about it? We will remember very vividly the very colorful and dangerous genocide of 1967 to 1970 that left 3.5 million people dead. 3.5 million Biafrans. This war led by the Nigerian genocidist, General Yakubu Gowon, alongside the Great Britain Prime Minister Harold Wilson. The fundamental variation of the human right of the people of Biafra had been taken to a very different level that one did not understand. So he leaves you again once with a question. Is a certain group of the people meant to be murdered in the face of the world? Why others watch and see what's going on and they do nothing about it? It's a word that we're living, a selective process that a certain people can be condemned to death just by being born who they are, and the others are not. Sorry, pardon me on that. It is morning and I've got a cold and I'm still very much in ill state. I've not fully recovered. But as a human right activist, we continue to ask this question. Why isn't the world now outraged at the rate of Nigerian murdering people of Biafra? Nigerian army officials in Aba, Biafra land, marched on and met a young Biafran who are demonstrating, demanding referendum for the freedom and restoration of their country, the Republic of Biafra. The Nigerian naval officials raised their guns and bullets, very bloody, point blank against the Geneva Convention, in the forehead, blown off, another round on the chest, legs in a feet away from each other, and the blood in circulation. It's all over the place. The blood floated everywhere. People were recording it on their mobile phone while the young man died helpless. Another situation. Nigerian soldiers had marched on to Biafrans protesting in the same Aba and shot at a very young man. Shot at a group of people, 13 people dying instantly on the dot, and the world said absolutely nothing. One of those was presumably thought it was dead, but was still shaking the head. And people were recording it with the mobile phone. This was actually going on, being published, live streamed, broadcasted all over the internet. So we have a great deal of questions. And why is this situation going on? Why is this situation going on? This is a question. This is a question we're posing to the people. Why is this going on? This has been the situation. So people can then raise their guns, and shoot at unarmed people because they are licensed to kill. I think the world needs to be outraged by this situation. January 12th, 2016, Islamic State suicide bombers attacked shopping facility in Istanbul, Turkey, murdering 11 people, wounding 14 others. International response, worldwide condemnation by leading power, including the United States and Britain, as well as the United Nations, widely publicized by the leading global news outlet. On the 14th of January 2016, Islamic State suicide bomber ordered designated fighters attacked the central Jakarta, Indonesia, murdering 4 people and wounding 24 others. International media worldwide condemnation by leading power, including the United States and Britain, as well as the United Nations, widely publicized by the leading global news outlet. 16th of January 2016, an Al-Qaeda in Islamic Maghreb attacked hotel in Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso, murdering 29 people, wounding 56 others. International media and worldwide condemnation by leading powers, including the United States and Britain, as well as the United Nations, publicly publicized by the leading global media. And on the 19th of January, Nigerian Occupational Military Brigade, comprising army, police, secret police, and other undisclosed units, positioned at Aba, southeast Biafra, attacked the peaceful Biafran freedom marchers campaigning for the restoration of Biafra sovereignty, calling for the release of Nnamdi Kanu, Radio Biafra freedom broadcaster and leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, illegally detained by the Nigerian regime since 14th of October 2015, murdering 8 people, wounding scores. International media respond, stunning silent. Once again, a particular set of people are targeted to be murdered and nothing happens. Unbelievable. This is something the world must need. When it happened in Indonesia, they condemn it. Burkina Faso, they condemn it. But when it happens in Biafra, no one condemns it. The Nigerian army is doing exactly the same thing Islamic terrorists are doing all over the world. But no one is condemning it. I've seen clips of Nigerian army asking their civilian JTF to murder and slaughter people they presume were Boko Haram without judgment. We're not in support of them. But as a human rights activist, for me to watch a video and see over 20 people being slaughtered with a very sharp knife, slowly, not fast, slowly, it's unbelievable. It is outrageous, and I think we need to clearly condemn this. The killing of the people of Biafra and Igbo people by Nigerian state, we need to condemn this. We're almost at the end of this 30-minute program. I want to say a very great thank you to all of the listeners or anyone who's going to listen later on. May God continue to bless you this very morning. And as the first day of the week being Sunday, we as those who will keep the very great weekly and Asian Shabbat time and calendar, call on the humanity and the world at large to condemn the murder of the people of Biafra. We're almost at the end of this very program, but I just want to say quickly, very great thank you to Biafran government in exile. A very great thank you to all of those who has paid support to Ekwenche, Kingsley, and the rest of them. Very wonderful thank you to everyone, and good morning to you. This is Biafra 24.